From Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 9, Text 29. No, 28. Text 28. It says, Evam sura sura gana samadesha kala hetva artha karma matayo api phale vikalpaha tatramratam suragana phalam anja sapur yat pada pankaja raja shayanana daityaha. So the translation: the place, the time, the cause, the purpose, the activity, and the ambition were all the same for both the demigods and the demons. But the demigods achieved one result and the demons another. Because the demigods are always under the shelter of the dust of the Lord's lotus feet, they could very easily drink the nectar and get its result. The demons, however, not having sought shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord, were unable to achieve the result they desired. Purport by His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. In Bhagavad Gita 4.11, it is said, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamiham. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the Supreme Judge who rewards or punishes different persons according to their surrender unto His lotus feet. Therefore, it can actually be seen that although karmis and bhaktas may work in the same place at the same time, with the same energy and with the same ambition, they achieve different results. The karmis transmigrate through different bodies in the cycle of birth and death, sometimes going upward, sometimes downward, thus suffering the results of their actions in the karma chakra, the cycle of birth and death. The devotees, however, because of fully surrendering at the lotus feet of the Lord, are never baffled in their attempts. Although externally they work almost like the karmis, the devotees go back home, back to Godhead, and achieve success in every effort. The demons or atheists have faith in their own endeavors, but although they work very hard day and night, they cannot get any more than their destiny. The devotees, however, can surpass the reactions of karma and achieve wonderful results, even without effort. It is said, Phalena parichiyate, one's success or defeat in any activity is understood by its result. There are many karmis in the dress of devotees, but the Supreme Personality of Godhead can detect the purpose. The karmis want to use the property of the Lord for their selfish sense gratification, but a devotee endeavors to use Lord's property for God's service. Therefore, a devotee is always distinct from the karmis. Although the karmis may dress like devotees, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 3.9, Yajnarthat karmano anyatra loko ayam karma bandhana. One who works for Lord Vishnu is free from this material world. And after giving up his body, he goes back home, back to Godhead. A karmi, however, although externally working like a devotee, is entangled in his non-devotional activity, and thus he suffers the tribulations of material existence. Thus, from the results achieved by the karmis and devotees, one can understand the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who acts differently for karmis and jnanis than for the devotees. The author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita therefore says, Krishna Bhakta Nishkama Atayeva Shanta Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sakali Ashanta. The karmis who desire sense gratification, the jnanis who aspire for the liberation of merging into the existence of Supreme, and the yogis who seek material success in mystic power are all restless and ultimately they are baffled. But the devotee who does not expect any personal benefit and whose only ambition is to spread the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is blessed with all the auspicious results of Bhakti Yoga without hard labor. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnana-anjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamai Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitramine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Devshtarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gauravakunda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So let us start. We already lost 7 to 10 minutes because of internet problems. So anyway, this chapter begins with description. This is actually from Canto 8. The title of today's talk is Churning of the Milk Ocean, Canto 8. And the first chapter begins with the Manus and Indras, because ultimately we have to lead to the last Indra who was involved in this story. So the Manus and the Indras, we know the Swayambhuva Manu's descendants, daughters Devahuti, wife of Kardama Muni, Akuti, wife of Prajapati Ruchi, and Prasuti, wife of Daksha, and sons Priyavata and Uttanapata. So after the Swayambhuva Manu, the son of Agni named Sarochisa became the second Manu, and Lord Yagya, the son of Akuti and Prajapati Ruchi, took the post of Indra. So he was the first Indra in this section, the king of heaven. Later, during the reign of Sarochisa only, the son of Yagya, named Rochana, took the post of Indra. King Priyavrata's son Uttama became the third Manu, and Satyajit was selected to become the Indra. Uttama's brother Tamasa became the fourth Manu, and Trishika was awarded the post of Indra. During this period, the Lord appeared as Hari, the son of Harimeda, and his wife Harini. Lord Hari saved his devotee Gajendra from the mouth of a crocodile. Tamasa's brother Raivata became the fifth Manu, and Vibhu was posted as Indra at that time. Then came the son of Chakshu, named Chakshusha, became the sixth Manu, and during his reign, Mantra Druma became Indra. Lord Vishnu appeared in this Manvantara in his partial expansion as Ajita, the son of Vairaja, and his wife Deva Sambhuti. Now, the Manu, the Manvantara means duration of time, as we had discussed earlier, calculated to be an aggregate of 71 Yuga cycles, each of which equals 4.3 million years. That is 43 lakh years. So, Lord Vishnu appeared in this Manvantara in his partial expansion as Ajita, the son of Viraja and his wife Deva Sambhuti, as we discussed. The churning of the ocean of milk, Ajita produced nectar for the demigods, and in the form of a tortoise, he carried the great Mandara mountain on his back. The present Manu, the seventh, is Shraddha son of Vyasvan, the sun god, and Samgya. Purandara has taken the post of Indra. In this Manvantara, Supreme Lord appeared as the youngest Aditya named Vamana. So like this, each Manvantara, in each Manvantara, the Manu, the sons of Manu, the Indra, the various demigods, and the Sapta Rishis are selected by the incarnation of the Lord, who appears in that particular period. So Bhagavatam describes the names, their parentage, etc. of Manus and Indras who are yet to appear, that is from 8th to 14th Manus. For example, the 8th Manu will be Savarni, the son of Vyasvan and Chaya, and Bali Maharaj will take the post of Indra. So he is yet to come. So the story begins like this. Once upon a time, while passing along the road, Durvasa Muni saw Indra riding upon the back of his elephant carrier. As a gesture of mercy, the Rishi offered Indra the garland that he has been wearing, sacred garland. However, since he was too puffed up, Indra was too puffed up, and he disrespectfully placed the garland on his elephant's carrier's trunk. So, being a mere animal, the elephant could not appreciate the value of Durvasa's garland, and it playfully threw it between his legs and crushed it. So, Durvasa Muni immediately became enraged and cursed Indra to become bereft of all appearances. And thereafter, when the demons headed by Bali Maharaja was that time was the demon, severely attacked the demigods, many of the demigods lost their lives and could not be revived. So thus it came to be that because of Durvasa's curse, the demigods lost their heavenly opulence and creating a dangerous situation. This created a dangerous situation. They consulted among themselves, and when they did not find any solution, they, including Lord Shiva, went to take the shelter of Lord Brahma. So seeing the demigods had become bereft of all influences, and thus making the three worlds devoid of all auspiciousness, Lord Brahma concentrated his mind upon Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he took the demigods to the shore of Milk Ocean, wherein lies the island of Shvetadvipa, the abode of Lord Vishnu, and started offering prayers in the hope of invoking his mercy. After being worshipped by many prayers of demigods, the Supreme Lord appeared before them. Lord Brahma said, we have desired to see you for a long time, and thus we now feel that we have achieved our ultimate goal of life. We have become transcendently satisfied because of your appearance. My Lord, nothing is unknown to you. Therefore, even without informing you of anything, we request you to fulfill our purpose. For we have come here to take shelter at your lotus feet, and you know everything about what happened to us. So Lord Shiva said, I and all other demigods who have come here are nothing but sparks that are illuminating you, the original fire. Therefore, O Supreme Lord, because we cannot properly understand what is for our welfare, we request you to give us the means of deliverance that is suitable for us. Understanding the purpose of which for which demigods had approached him, the Lord responded to the demigods, standing before them with folded hands. The Lord said, "O rulers of the planetary systems, please hear me with great attention, because at present you are not flourishing. You should make a truce with the demons who are presently being favored by the time factor. For the sake of self-interest," the Lord said, "I advise you to act according to the logic of the snake and mouse. कभी कभी it is said, कभी कभी गधे को भी बाप बनाना पड़ता है. Once a snake and a mouse got caught in a basket, and the snake could have easily devoured the mouse, but snake became little wise, because ultimately snake also had to save his life. So he said, "Please make a hole. I will not eat you. I will not do anything, so that both of us can go through that hole." And snake had the idea of actually eating the mouse and devouring him. But then he just said, you just make a hole, and then both of us can escape. So in such situations, what happens is, you don't take into account your enmity or friendship. So you just make friendship with the other party, so that both of them can escape. Yeah. So this is the story of a snake and mouse. And then when the mouse actually made a hole, not only snake escaped, but he devoured the snake also, the mouse also. So it said you should endeavor to produce nectar, for by drinking it, even a man on the verge of death can gain immortality. First of all, throw all kinds of vegetables, grass, creepers, and drugs into the ocean of milk. Then, with the help of, with my help, make Mount Mandara the churning rod, and Vasuki the rope for churning. Along with the demons, churn the milk with great attention. Even though your enemies will labor very hard, you alone will get the actual benefit by my mercy, he said to the demigods. Everything can be accomplished with the patience and cool head. But when one becomes agitated with anger, the goal remains unattained. Because of this, whatever demons ask, you should just give it to them. Don't ask for it yourself. So I'll satisfy them and keep them in good humor. Then he said, a poison named Kalakuta or Halahala will be produced from the churning, but you should not become afraid when other byproducts come from the milk ocean. You should not be greedy to enjoy them, keeping your minds fixed only upon the real purpose. So having given this advice, the Supreme Personality of Godhead disappeared. So after offering their obeisances unto the Supreme Lord, Lord Brahma and Shiva returned to their abode, but Indra, without wasting any time, went to the abode of Bali Maharaj, accompanied by some of the demigods. So he did not want to lose any time. So although the military commanders of demons became very much agitated seeing them, Bali Maharaj, seeing the demigods had come in a peaceful mood, forbade his commanders to attack them. Indra then sat down next to the most opulent Bali, who had conquered the entire universe, and began to please him with very sweet words. So being most intelligent, Indra very politely submitted the proposal that had been given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to him. Bali Maharaja and his assistants, headed by Sambara and Arista Nemi, immediately liked the idea of producing nectar by a joint endeavor, and thus a truce was made between the demigods and the demons. So without delay, the necessary arrangements for producing nectar were made, and then the demigods and the demons that were all very powerful uprooted the Mandara mountain and carried it towards the milk ocean. But after carrying it for some distance, Indra, Bali, and other demons became very fatigued. Suddenly, the mountain, which was extremely heavy, being made of gold, fell down, crushing many of the demons and demigods. So because of this, everybody got very disheartened. But then the all-knowing Supreme Personality of Godhead arrived there, riding upon the shoulders of Garuda. So simply by glancing over the demigods and demons that had been crushed to death, Lord Vishnu brought them back to life. Lord then very easily lifted Mandara mountain with one hand and placed it onto Garuda's back. And taking all those who were there, Lord departed for the ocean of milk. Then because Vasuki was to be invited for becoming the churning robe, Lord requested Garuda to leave that place, Chattis ka agada dono ka. So therefore, thereafter, Vasuki was summoned by the demigods, and the demons convinced him to take up the arduous task by promising him a share of the nectar. Lord Ajita, the partial expansion of the Supreme Lord, then grasped the snake's head. He caught hold of the snake's head side, thinking that he had better accept the most dangerous portion, and so the demigods followed suit. Upon seeing this, the demons who always opposed the demigods did not like the idea of grasping the tail, for they considered it to be inauspicious. Seeing the demons adamant and understanding their motive, the Supreme Lord smiled and without any discussion accepted their proposal by grasping Vasuki's tail. After making this adjustment, the demigods and demons, who were all sons of Kashyapa, began churning the milk ocean with great enthusiasm in anticipation of the nectar. The mountain, however, had no support at the bottom, and so it sank into the water in spite of being held by the demigods and demons' strong hands. Everyone became again so disappointed, considering their hopes to have been frustrated. So, however, the Lord Ajita assumed the form of a kurma at this stage, a wonderful and gigantic tortoise. And after entering the water, he lifted the great mountain, thus enlivening the demigods and demigods. They became very happy. As the Mount Mandara rested upon the Lord's back, whose body extended for 100,000 yojanas, like a great island, the demigods and demons resumed churning the ocean of milk with renewed enthusiasm. After some time, everyone became exceedingly fatigued, and especially Vasuki, who was on the verge of death. To encourage them and to increase their various types of energies, Lord Vishnu entered the demons as the quality of passion, the demigods as the quality of goodness, and Vasuki as the quality of ignorance. So being thus encouraged by the Lord in so many ways, when the demigods and demons resumed madly churning the milk ocean, Vasuki became so agitated that all the alligators within the ocean became greatly disturbed. Being under the great duress, Vasuki, who had thousands of mouths, began breathing smoke and fire. So all of the demons began to look like trees that had been burnt in a forest fire, because they were holding the head side of Vasuki. While the demons became so affected that their strength was practically lost, the demigods also became diminished in energy as their faces, garments, and ornaments became covered with soot. By the grace of the Supreme Lord, clouds appeared overhead, and when showers of rain combined with breeze that blew droplets of water from the ocean, the demigods and demons felt greatly relieved. And yet, even after being churned for a long time, the milk ocean did not produce any nectar. So the Supreme Lord Ajita personally took up the task. So when the Lord Ajita began vigorously churning, the milk ocean first of all produced a fiercely dangerous poison called Kalakutta or Halahala. When that uncontrollable poison began spreading out in all directions, the demigods, accompanied by Lord Ajita, approached Lord Shiva and offered his prayers, their prayers. Although the Supreme Personality of Godhead was personally present, he did not take action because he wanted Shiva to become famous for drinking the Kalakutta poison. So when Lord Shiva, who is always very benevolent towards all living beings, saw the great threat posed by the poison, he became very compassionate. Addressing his consort, Lord Shiva said, "My dear Bhavani, just see how all living entities have been put to great danger by the poison that was produced from the churning of the milk ocean. It's my duty to protect everyone because the master must ensure safety of his suffering dependents." So Bhavani knew very well the capacities of her husband. After receiving her permission, Lord Shiva passionately took the whole quantity of poison in the palm of his hand and then drank it. Upon seeing this wonderful act and being relieved from the impending danger, all the demigods headed by Lord Vishnu and Brahma praised Lord Shiva very highly. Whatever little poison had fallen from Shiva's hands was drunk by the scorpions, cobras, poisonous ducks, and other animals with poisonous bites. Thereafter, being very pleased, the demigods and demons resumed churning the ocean of milk with the renewed vigor. And as a result, a Surabhi cow appeared, and the great rishis took charge of that Surabhi cow. Then a horse named Uchishtrava, which was as white as the moon, was generated. Since Bali Maharaja wanted to possess it, King Indra did not want to protest. Next came Airavata, the gigantic white four-tusked king of elephants, which was taken by Indra. The 8 Diggajas that guard the 8 directions were also produced, along with 8 she-elephants. Thereafter, the celebrated gems named Kausuva Mani and Padmaraga Mani were generated, and Lord Vishnu desired to use them as ornaments for his chest. The Parijata flower came later, which fulfills the desires of everyone, was next produced from the churning. Then came the Apsaras, attractively dressed and decorated with golden ornaments. Then the goddess of fortune, Rama, appeared, and because of her exquisite beauty, her youth and glories, everyone desired her because she is the source of all opulence, wealth, beauty, and reputation. As Lakshmi walked here and there, her ankle bells jingled softly, and although she very minutely examined all of the assembled demigods, she could not find anyone who was naturally endowed with all good qualities. So in this way, after due deliberation, she accepted Mukunda as her husband, even though he is independent and not in need of her. Then, when the demigods and demons resumed churning of the milk ocean, the lotus-eyed goddess Varuni appeared, and she was claimed by the demons. Then the Dhanvantari, a plenary portion of Lord Vishnu, who is very conversant with the science of medicine, appeared, carrying in his hands a jug that was filled up to the top with the nectar. Immediately, demons snatched away the jug and nectar by force and carried it away. The demigods became extremely morose, and they took shelter of the Supreme Lord in their distress. So the Supreme Lord said, "Do not be aggrieved. With my personal energy, I will bewilder the demons by creating a quarrel among themselves. In this way, I will fulfill your desire to drink the nectar." Demons began arguing over the nectar, and while doing so, they repeatedly shouted, "You cannot drink this first. I must be the first one to drink." So other demons who were weaker and afraid of not getting any nectar argued that demigods also took part in the churning of the milk ocean, and so everyone has to have an equal right to share the nectar. Why only demons have the claim? So they started fighting among themselves. Then the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who can counteract any unfavorable situation, assumed the form of an extremely beautiful woman named Mohini Murti. So her complexion resembled the color of a newly grown blackish lotus flower, and every part of her body was very beautifully situated. Being attracted by the aroma of her body, bumblebees hummed around her, and thus her eyes appeared to be very restless. Demons gave up their competitive activities when they saw the young and beautiful Mohini Murti coming towards them. They quickly approached her with their lusty desires and inquired of her, "Who are you and where have you come from? Oh, beautiful girl, you have certainly never been enjoyed before by any male being, it appears. Although born in the same family, we are becoming increasingly hostile towards each other because of this container of nectar. O woman with such a thin waist, we request you to favor us by settling our dispute. Both of us, the demons and demigods, are born of the same father, but forgetting all that, we are engaged in this quarrel. Now please end this disagreement and divide the nectar as you think fit." So after hearing this request, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who had assumed the form of beautiful woman, began to smile. While looking at the demons, Mohini Murti displayed very attractive feminine gestures and said, "O sons of Kashyapa, I am only a prostitute. How is it that you have placed so much of faith in me? A learned person never puts faith in a woman, especially a prostitute." However, being captivated by her beauty while laughing aloud, they confidently delivered the container of nectar into her hands. So after receiving the nectar, the Supreme Personality of Godhead smiled and very sweetly said, "My dear demons, if you are willing to accept whatever I may do, whether it be honest or dishonest, then I can take the responsibility of dividing the nectar amongst you." So demons immediately agreed, saying, "What you have said is all right for us." Because demons are by nature like snakes, crooked, the Supreme Personality of Godhead considered it unwise and dangerous to give them the nectar. So after entering the arena, Mohini Murti arranged separate lines of sitting places and seated the demons and demigods according to their positions. Then taking the container of nectar in her hands, Mohini Murti first of all approached the demons and spoke to them very sweetly. She said, "The demons are very greedy. The demigods are very greedy, and thus they are excessively anxious to drink the nectar first. Since you are all exalted personalities, you can wait a bit while I distribute just a little of the nectar to the demigods to pacify them, just to pacify them." The demons felt themselves to be very fortunate just to talk to Mohini Murti, and so they were satisfied by her gracious words. In this way, they were cheated out of their share of the nectar. Mohini Murti then went and gave all the nectar to the demigods. The demons had promised to accept whatever Mohini Murti would do. Therefore, just to keep their promise and to save themselves from fighting with the woman, they remained silent. One of the asuras named Rahu, who causes eclipse of the sun and moon, had not been bewildered by Mohini Murti, and so he understood how she was cheating the demons. After disguising himself as a demigod, Rahu entered their ranks, and without being noticed, he was able to drink a share of the nectar. The sun and the moon, however, because of their permanent animosity towards Rahu, quickly understood what had happened. When they brought the matter to the attention of the Supreme Lord, he cut off the demon's head with his disc, just as the nectar was being swallowed. So thus, after the trunk of Rahu's body immediately died, the head, having been touched by the nectar, became immortal. So Lord Brahma then accepted Rahu's head as one of the planets, and ever since that, Rahu always tries to attack the sun and moon on the full moon and the dark moon days. So when the demigods had just about finished drinking the nectar, Mohini Murti disclosed her original form as Lord Vishnu. So this is a very significant note that although the time, place and causes, the purpose, etc. were all the same, for both the parties, the demigods achieved the result, one result, and the demons achieved the other result. So we read the shloka on this. Because the demigods always work under the shelter of the Supreme Lord's lotus feet, they very easily drank the nectar and the demons who do not seek the shelter of the Lord were unable to obtain the object of their desires. One who does the activity for his own sense gratification, he is baffled, but when the same activities are performed for the satisfaction of the Lord, the beneficial results are distributed to everyone. Just as water poured upon the root of a tree is distributed throughout the entire tree. So after completing the affair of churning the milk ocean and feeding the nectar to the demigods, the Supreme Personality of Godhead departed for his own abode. As soon as they realized the full import of demigods' victory, the demons became highly furious, and without delay, they attacked the demigods. Though the demigods fought valiantly, the demonic illusions created by demon Bali Maharaj put the demigods in great disadvantage. Upon seeing so many magical creations of the invisible demons, the demigods became very much discouraged. Finding no means of counteracting the attack, the demigods began wholeheartedly meditating upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In reciprocation, the Lord immediately appeared upon the scene, carrying the weapons in his 8 hands and riding on the back of Garuda. As soon as he entered the battlefield, all illusions that had been created by the jugglery of the demons were at once vanquished. Using his chakra, he killed all the demons, prominent demons, and thereafter the Lord mercifully brought back to life all the demigods that had died in the battle. Great battle ensued between the two sides for a long time thereafter. When Lord Brahma saw the imminent annihilation of all the asuras, he sent a message with Narada to stop fighting. So, accepting Narada's words, the demigods gave up their anger and ceased fighting and returned to their heavenly abodes. Thereafter, under the orders of Narada, the surviving demons took Bali Maharaja, who was in a very precarious conditions, to Astagiri Hill. There, Shukracharya brought back to life all the slain demons and that had not lost their heads. Once they lose their heads, they could not do anything. Trunks and limbs. Those who did not lose their trunks and limbs and heads, by the use of his mantra known as Sanjeevani, he brought all of them back to life. When Bali Maharaja regained his consciousness, by the grace of Shukracharya, he became his loyal disciple out of gratitude and thus offered everything in his possession to him. So this is the end of the story. Now we have few points to ponder. We have few minutes left. So I will take up one by one. Number one, Indras are only a post, and different personalities with different backgrounds get it when they are selected by the Supreme Lord. But what we see is that all Indras generally behave as if they are power mongers, puffed up, and ready to do anything to retain their position. So, as we have seen already, in the first Manu's case, Yagya was the Indra, second Rochana, third Satyajit, fourth Trishika, fifth Vibhu, sixth Mantra Dhruma, seventh Purandara. So these are different personalities. But when they get the post of Indra, all of them behave in a similar manner. They get puffed up and ready to anything to retain their position. So, see, in the instant case, the Indra did not treat the garland given by Durvasa Muni respectfully. And in the earlier case, also in the story of Ratrasura, we have seen, he was extremely proud of his power, and in the company of Apsaras and demigods, he failed to give respectful welcome to his spiritual master Brahaspati when he entered the assembly hall, and because of that, they lost everything. So there are so many such instances. where they behave, he stole 100 hearts of Prithvi Maharaj when he was doing the 100th Ashwamedha Yajna. So they were all running after power. So, and also he arrested Prahlad's mother, thinking that Prahlad is going to be the another Asura. So we don't want Prahlad to take the Indra Loka. So all these things happen to all Indras. As we have seen, this is what I noticed in this after reading this story. So this is something which is very similar to the human beings in this material world. They are all in Rajoguna. The second point is from this point, from this pastime of Lord, one starts to think whether the Lord has been fair to the demons, not distributing the nectar to them, though they had also put the same amount of labor and had taken equal hardships along with the demigods. So the Lord is equal to everyone because he is the eternal father of all beings and does not have the faults of an ordinary father. But he shows favoritism. He says in Bhagavad Gita that he descends into this world in various incarnations to revive dharma, protect the devotees, and annihilate the miscreants. If God is equal to all, why should he protect his devotees and punish the demons? Krishna himself admits that he is especially inclined towards his devotees. In Bhagavad Gita 9.29, he says this. Lord is not partial to anyone, but reciprocates with our moods and deeds. He is specially inclined to his devotees because they love and serve him with all their heart. He is merciful to the demons as well, but owing to their negative attitude, he punishes them mercifully only to uplift them. In either case, as a loving father, he is a supreme well-wisher of every living being. The third point to ponder is it is only the Supreme Lord who had orchestrated and executed the whole program. But for him, it was impossible to achieve the end result, that is, making the demigods immortal. Though both demigods and demons participated in the whole process, Lord wanted to show to the demons that mere endeavor is not enough. You also need Lord's mercy. Both are required to accomplish the task. That is, the two fingers, too short theory has been given a practical demonstration here. Though they also became immortal, but then they could not sustain the power of demons at the end. So Supreme Lord had to intervene. It also proves that being extremely proud of one's power is detrimental to progress, spiritual or material. Here, Indra's pride is in not accepting the garland given by Durvasa Muni with respect, caused the downfall of demigods, and Lord had to devise means to make the demigods immortal. In this sense, in one sense, it could be that the whole thing is a plan of Supreme Lord himself. But this is what apparently appears to us. The fifth point is Supreme Lord could have easily drunk the Kalakutta or halal poison, but he wanted Lord Shiva to get the credit for doing this. So he went to Lord Shiva with the demigods. So that is one thing to be noted. The Lord doesn't want to take credit for everything himself. He also wants to give credit to other demigods. The sixth point is, even if one becomes immortal, he needs the support of the Supreme Lord. This is proved here. The demigods could not defend themselves when demons attacked the demigods after the distribution of the nectar, and Lord Vishnu had to appear and subdue the demons. So, coming under the influence of a woman, the next point, the coming under the influence of a woman can destroy everything. Therefore, prevention is better than cure. Only Rahu had not been bewildered by Mohini Murti, and so he understood how she was cheating the demons, and disguising himself as a demigod, he saved himself. So we are reminded of the butter and fire analogy in this story. So the fire has to be always kept away from butter, otherwise it will melt. Eighth point is Bali Maharaja, who fights against Indra in this life, is going to be the next Indra. How mysterious it is. This is an indication of Lord's impartiality. Lord loves everyone as his own child. Sammoham sarva bhuteshu. He envies no one, nor is he partial to anyone. Name dvesho asti na priyaha. Name dvesho asti na priyaha. I have no enmity with anybody. I am partial to no one. I envy no one. But then he is more partial to the devotees. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. I run through the whole thing